To be a champion, it requires heart and a relentless desire to be great. Here at Jaguar Women's Basketball, we call that being Southern tough. Join us here at F.G. Clark Activity Center all season long. Tickets are on sale now for 2017-18. Go Jaguars.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
That's right, another Sunday, another Inside the Jaguar Nation alongside Morgan Beard. I'm Brian Holland with you here every Sunday right here on Fox 44, and to really kind of get into the thick of things, by the way. We're talking about baseball right around the corner. We got basketball season. You were over at the Mini Dome yesterday. A big Saturday there on the hardwood, and then the new whistle there on the diamond, by the way, for the first time, a new coach there for the baseball team in almost 4 decades. Ooh. Plus, not my hot takes, okay? It's not hot takes if it's truth, but I'm spitting a little fire about the men's and women's basketball team, so stick around for that.
We are already getting fired up here. Plus, can't forget my performer of the week, and I say mine because our MVP, Aaron Lee, on assignment. Hey, get it out here. Get it off there. I'm ready to go. Aaron Lee, he'll be back next week. He's on assignment. But for now, let's get to those basketball highlights you talked about. And we're talking the Southern men in action at home, looking for their second straight win, hosting Alabama State on Saturday. And Jags on top, and look at this right here. Torrey Mayo serving up something tasty to Jamar Sandifer, who puts it down. Jags will lead by as many as 12 in this one. And then it's Mayo to Eddie Reese, putting a little finger on there, tapping it in for the alley-oop layup. And then a little bit later, it's Mayo again. And watch Eddie Reese, little sidestep action there. Ooh, from deep, it goes down. But this one would get a little more interesting than the Jags would have wanted it to. Alabama State would make it a game here. A lot of threes late here. Reginald G hitting a big one. And then it goes down to that free throw game. And Southern at the line. Mayo makes the first one. Misses that one, though. So one more chance for Alabama State. And they get it off. Actually, they don't. It wouldn't have counted even if it did go in. Southern survives at home 63-61.
We've been talking all week, and as a staff, we've been, you watch games around the country, and a lot of these conference games are coming down to last second shot, last plays, and we we got to find a lineup that we can go to that we feel comfortable with to make plays at the end. I think we've been trying to switch it up and try different lineups, but this lineup we felt like throughout the practice this week has been the best group that's worked for us this week.
Oh, it worked all right. Eddie Reese with 14. To the women's game over in the SWAC Southern, hosting Alabama State earlier on Saturday. We start in the second half. Jags will be up by 10, but Courtney Parsons in transition there getting the and one. But the woman of the hour, Brianna Green, there getting it in transition. But Alabama State, just like the men's game, they hung around. They made it a little more interesting than Southern wanted it to be. Tatiana Calhoun gets the putback, but Brianna Green and Southern, too much to handle. Green here creating her own, getting to the rack. 25 for Green as the Lady Jags win 66-58.
I think it was just us being patient, staying calm, and just playing our game of basketball. Coach always gets on us about playing down to the level of our opponent. She expects a lot more from us. So I think that was just the biggest thing with us in the second half coming out. We just had to make sure we stayed positive. We hit shots. We boxed out a rebound. That's been the main focus of conversation. So I think we did okay of that tonight. We didn't do great, but get better every game.
Oh yeah, and human jukebox getting us fired up. We're just getting started, by the way. Coming up, we're taking you to baseball time. And baseball, it's right around the corner, by the way, Morgan.
Oh yeah, but more from the hardwood. Of course, that's what we're in the thick of. We're going to bring you our performer of the week, as well as a look at where both the men's and women's basketball teams are at right now, here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
You're watching Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm, with Brian Holland, Morgan Beard, Ashley Lyotis, and Aaron Lee.
That's right. Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. Morgan, the performer of the week, that's kind of a big responsibility for you. I mean, it's a big part of the show here every week. You confident in your pick?
Got some big shoes to fill for Aaron Lee, who usually makes that designation, but absolutely I'm confident in my own pick. I had a lot of fun at the Mini Dome on Saturday, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, Brian. Time to take a look back on some team accomplishments. And for the men, things have been a little rocky. Let's call it what it is. Brian, for you, what's been going on with this team?
Okay, we talked about it last week, too. I still have faith in this team, and I think that they're going to turn around. Really, it's been that they've played their hardest games on the schedule early on. We said that last week as well. But it's resulted in some close losses, and I think that those are the indicators. You go on the road, you have some close losses. That's what happens in the Southwestern Athletics Conference. You saw last week a 2-point loss at Arkansas Pine Bluff. I also think it tells you much more about the conference big picture. From a sky view and eagle eye view, I think this is a much more balanced, maybe a deeper conference than we've seen, even in Itabena. I mean, that's a tough place to play there in Valley. Against Valley. They're in a valley, it seems like. But Southern getting the win there on the road. And look, they look downright awful in some of these stretches. I watched that full game. When they've looked their best, though, is when the guards take it upon themselves to get involved in the offense. They need to put pressure on the defense. They need penetration. They need to stay aggressive against zone defense especially, and not feel like they just jack up threes. This three-point shooting, okay, it wasn't out of control against Valley as far as shot selection, but it was still bad. I mean, the percentages were awful. That being said, Jared Sam, he can't do it all down low. He keeps still putting up big numbers, even though they know that's where the rock is going. So he needs his guards to push the issue, get into the paint and dish, create there as well for the big fella.
And like you said, just get involved. The other guards need to penetrate, get inside the paint. And
it's a team effort.
Whether it's making layups and missing them, get to the foul line. There are a lot of ways they could do that. Now on the ladies' side, Brian, we knew we were going to get some good performances from names like Brianna Green, Skylar Obear, and Lyric Scott. And those have been the do-it-alls for the Southern women's basketball team this year. Now the scoring looks a lot more spread out compared to the men's team. That's one thing they have going for them. Every one of their SWAC wins going into this weekend was by double digits, and they made a name for themselves in the SWAC as they're atop the conference standings. Brian, where do you think this team, though, they're showing signs, where do you think they can get better?
Sandy Pugh is not going to like me, but one of the weirdest stats I've seen really this season, Brianna Green, leading scorer for the Lady Jacks, doesn't have a three-pointer on the season. How does that happen? I didn't look at Saturday's stats, but to me, that's amazing. She's the fourth leading scorer in the SWAC. She doesn't have a three-ball. It's almost February. So what that tells me, they're getting the ball inside, no problem. But when you go against a bigger, more physical team, that's when you're going to run into problems, and that's when tourney time, getting big wins against big teams, could give them some trouble. I respect their game. I love that they're getting it inside the paint, but they need to find a sharpshooter over these last 11 games.
Now let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We take a little look back, but we had Saturday's game to talk about. Plenty of standouts there, but there's only one for me this week, our performer of the week.
Down the stretch, I think it was just us being patient, staying calm, and just playing our game of basketball. Coach always gets on us about playing down to the level of our opponent. She expects a lot more from us. So I think that was just the biggest thing with us in the second half coming out. We just had to make sure we stayed positive. We hit shots. We boxed out a rebound. That's been the main focus of conversation. So I think we did okay of that tonight. We didn't do great, but get better every game.
You know what? She had it on her mind tonight. I told her at the end of the game, I thought she stepped her game up. But Coach Jeremy was in her ear the whole time. I won't tell you what he was saying to her, but he was telling her to be that one. So I think he helped keep her motivated and focused, even when she got a little tired down the stretch. But I just thought she did a good job, on both ends of the court.
More Human Jukebox, by the way. They're performing of the week of sorts.
Every week.
And some baseball news and more news from around campus right after this, right here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
That's right. Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm already ready, by the way, Morgan, for spring to come, warmer weather, some new air, plus baseball season. Got a sneak peek of that, by the way, coming up your way. The new whistle at Lee Hines Field, because we're getting closer to that sort of season.
We are, but hold your horses. We still have some events to get to on the bluff this coming week. Yeah, I got to rein you in a little bit, Brian.
Yeah, every once in a while.
You want to do everyone, give them their justice, right? But we do have a little bit of baseball coming up on your Southern calendar. And as always, we turn it over to our very own Ashley Lyotis with more. Ashley?
Another busy week coming up on the Bluff. A lot of home games to gear up for. But first, let's take a look at how the men's and women's basketball teams did over the past week. Last Saturday, the men's team took on Arkansas Pine Bluff on the road. They lost a tight one, 78-76. On Monday, they took on Mississippi Valley State, also on the road. They won that one 78-70. The women's team, following the same rotation, they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 71-52, and they also beat Mississippi Valley State 70-54. Coming up next week, the men's team will host Alabama A&M on Monday at 7:30. Then they'll face Alcorn State at home on Saturday night at 5:30. The women's team will take on Alabama A&M on Monday at 5:30 and Alcorn State on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Both of those games home as well. And baseball is just around the corner. Something to keep on your radar here. The Southern baseball team will hold their first high school showcase under new head coach Carrick Jackson at Lee Hines Field on September 10th. It allows high school players an opportunity to receive high-level coaching on hitting, pitching, and defense from Coach Jackson and the rest of his coaching staff. We'll, of course, have more scores and highlights next week on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
I'm no baseball star, but we will get out to Lee Hines Field and see the new whistle over there on the bluff. More from your Southern baseball. And by the way, some interesting games on the schedule coming up. We'll cover that too next, right here on your Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. He's Morgan Beard. I'm Brian Hahn, ready to roar and rip for baseball season. By the way, getting ready. The spring air starts coming in. You got the smell of fresh cut grass in the air.
And you got the Southern Knights yelling, trying to distract those batters as they drive over the hump. You know how they do it over there.
That's your little honking action in between pitches. All right.
Always encouraged.
Or during pitches.
Exactly. That's definitely encouraged. Now, it's a special time in college athletics. So for a new look at the new team, we bring you for almost the first time in 4 decades, a new coach in the Columbia Blue and Gold.
You know, it's been good. It's been a privilege to be in this position, to follow up someone who laid such a good foundation, and knowing that there's a high level of tradition that has been here in the past. It's been down for a little bit, but that's the one thing that attracted me to Southern University. Was it's not like I'm being asked to take a program that's never been successful and have them be successful. From day one, from the message he gave to the whole team was a big impact. Honestly, the way he runs the practice, the tempo, and how he breaks things down, I enjoy. I think what they're going to get is they're going to get somebody who's passionate about what I'm doing. They're going to get somebody who's dedicated to what I'm doing. I believe in being a servant leader. I believe in teaching our players about servant leadership. I want to be heavily involved in the community, and I want to have an impact, not only on the field, but I want our program to have an impact that ripples through the community of Baton Rouge, and so that there's going to be that 6-year-old, 5-year-old that I want the kids here to say, that's where I want to go. I want to play for Southern. I want us to strive for perfection, and understanding that in striving for perfection, if we fall a little bit short, we'll reach excellence. As opposed to saying, hey, let's be excellent, and we fall short and we're average. And if we strive for average, we fall short, we're below average. So I want our guys to strive for perfection, and knowing that perfection is probably not attainable, but if we fall just a little bit short of perfection, then we're excellent, and nobody has a problem with being excellent. I want to go to Omaha. I didn't come here to do anything other than to be on a mission to get to Omaha. But I think we're going to have a big, huge impact in this SWAC tournament. I think we'll be able to get to the SWAC tournament and actually open some eyes for some people.
Hey, in the road to the SWAC tournament and Omaha, maybe. Wouldn't that be really cool? Starts February 16th, the doubleheader there in New Orleans. So they don't even start at home, but this has kind of been the last few years as well. They take on Illinois, Chicago. Grambling State, that will not count against their conference record. Then UNO on February 18th. Then the first conference game, they take on Alabama State there in Montgomery. Alcorn State is going to be your home opener there at Lee Hines, and then hey, March 6th.
March 6th, baby. Look at that one.
Yeah, I like that. LSU, then at UNO. They're not afraid to play anyone. Then they go to Hattiesburg, taking on Southern Miss, who has been a pain in everyone's side here in the South as far as baseball goes. Dallas Baptist, always in a super regional. That's a legit program. Then you talk about more legit, an SEC opponent as well. And then the Colonels, they come to Collin there. They come from the Bayou. They're going to be at Lee Hines Field, as will Lamar. and then hopefully making some noise there May 16th at the SWAC Championship Tournament.
Hey, they're going to have to bring out the human jukebox in some of these baseball games with all the competition that we're going to be seeing here on the Bluff. And as we take another look and listen here at that human jukebox, bringing us to break. But coming up next here on Inside the Jaguar Nation, some Jags in the spotlight this week on their way to the NFL. Well, much more coming right up.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back to the show. Morgan Beer and Brian Holland as we close it down here on Inside the Jaguar Nation. Now, football season over, but not really for a lot of Southern guys trying to take that next step.
Boy, talk about Southern being on a big stage, and it's because of these guys. Still actually waiting on a couple other guys to announce where they're going to play their games before they go to the Combine, but Aaron Tiller going to be out there in LA. Actually, already playing. They're January 20th, as you see. Senior Bowl, though, Danny Johnson, we're going to have full reports out there from Mobile, not only, of course, on NBC Local 33 and Fox 44, but again, right here on Inside the Jaguar Nation. That'll wrap things up here for Aaron Lee, the real MVP, Ashley Lyotis, Morgan Beard. I'm Brian Holland. This is Inside the Jaguar Nation. We'll see you next week.
Winning doesn't happen overnight without a championship mindset. Come join me, head coach Morris Scott, and the SU Jags men's basketball team as we prepare for the upcoming season at the Mini Dome. Come join us. Go get your tickets today. Go Jags.